I think for maybe fifth grade and above, maybe even fourth grade and above, it is possible and even it's useful and probably even possible for the kids to be masked during the entire class duration. So even 45 minutes, you can get them to be fully masked, even if they aren't fully physically distanced 6 feet apart. The mask is going to be useful, I believe. Okay. So then when they leave the classroom, they need a break. They
Yeah,
need to
right.
have that mask down, okay? So, but they can't all go out into the hallway and bring their mask down. You know
Right.
what I mean? Like, where's the thought process there? Has anybody come up with anything about intra-class, transport of these kids? If I mean, not, I don't know about public schools, but in some public schools and private schools, kids have to go from classroom to classroom in
Right.
the upper grades, right? So
Mm-hmm.
what do we do? Put plexiglass up and make them walk in a single line, 6 feet
Well, they're
apart?
talking about putting, you know, like tape on the floor to show 6 feet apart so that you're always, there's no way, there's no way for kids to maintain, they can't maintain that. They just can't. So, walking down the hall, they could take their masks off, but then we're not far enough apart. There's just no possible way to contain it. We're just going to have an explosion of COVID cases if we open school.
Okay, this is kids in China. Can you see this screen?
Yep, yep.
What do we think about seventh, eighth graders? Maybe freshmen,
Yeah.
maybe older.
Um,
Yeah, but
but
this
they're
is the society where they have discipline from day one,
right,
right? And
right.
they'll wear that goddamn thing all day long. So our kids will not. I'm
No, and our
sure.
kids have parents who will tell them that they don't have to.
We already see that. Yes.
It
Yeah.
looks like they have something on their arms.
Yeah, it's some sort of band. I don't know what it says, but
A shock collar to keep you from taking the mask off.
Yeah, it's going to be an explosion because
yeah. How do I stop sharing my screen?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I think it's magical thinking.
There we go.
You know,
There
I
we
mean,
go. Stop, right?
yeah,
It's
I
yeah.
installed some plexiglass. They wanted it 6'6" high,
Uh-huh.
and I said, of course it can't get over 6'6"
right, right,
because it's magical thinking that
Yeah,
it can
it's
go higher than 6'6".
right, right.
that's its pole vault threshold. Yeah.
So it's magical thinking that
It
kids
is.
are going to get in between classes
Okay, now
without.
and you're up, yeah. And now, so let's go back to what I said about cohorts and bubbles in New Zealand. Every kid that walks into let's use you as an example, walks into your classroom day one has tested negative for COVID. You've tested negative for COVID within the last 7 days, and we hope that none of you contracted it in the 7 days prior to starting school. But that's the level of safety we can achieve at this point. Reasonably, how often can we test you and those kids? Once a week? Once every 2 weeks?
Right. Well, we don't even have, well, you were just saying that there's such a backlog in getting test results back. So we could test all we want, but we're not going to know. And then we'll all still be in the classroom and we could have it.
Now, how often will those kids interact with kids that are not in their class?
All the time.
All right.
Yeah. They're going to be out on a playground.
Yeah.
So they'll be in contact with children who are at least in their grade or their grade and a grade above or a grade below.
How many kids are in, I know there's no average, but I'm just trying to get a picture of a general suburban public school. How many kids are in fourth grade? Not in a classroom, all of fourth grade.
All of fourth grade? Depending on the school district, you probably would have 2 or 3 sections of fourth grade with up to 30 kids in each section. So it could be,
100 kids.
90. between 75 and 90 in an average school, like in a suburban.
Yeah.
Sanjay, in the school district of which you live, which is the Lake Lehman School District, I believe that the Lehman-Jackson building,
right down the street from my house. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, the class size of that for fourth grade is probably 180.
Wow.
Between the different, so in each building, so probably 90 in each building between the two buildings.
Okay. And that's what I said.
Yeah, so 90 to 100.
But wow, that's a lot of kids, isn't it?
When my mom was teaching, I mean, she was teaching kindergarten, and I have no idea how she did it, but she had she would have class sizes one year of 22, and then she'd have class sizes the next year of 33. So and there are 3 or 4 or 5 sections depending on the year. So if there was a year with 5 sections of a grade, that means that they had to add it because by the school board policy, they would add it when you hit 100 kids in a grade. You'd have to add another section.
Okay.
So that would mean that year they had 125, and you're talking elementary school. When you get to the junior senior high school, that is right down the road from your house, ends up being 3 elementary schools of 2 of similar size, so 90 plus 90 and 1 half size. So 90 plus 90 plus 45 is 180 to 25, 225 per grade times 6 grades. And they all eat in the same cafeterias, in the same gyms, in the same.
This is Lake Lehman?
Yeah. My graduating class back in a long time ago, years, was 208, and that was, a long time ago.
That was high school or 8th grade?
That was my high school class.
Okay.
High school class
was
208, and they combined the junior and senior high school since I was there, so now it's 200-ish times 6 grades. So
yeah, it's got to be much bigger. And would you agree, John, that we are suburban, right? We're not even suburban like you would see outside of Philly.
I think that's probably not accurate, because school districts, at least in Pennsylvania, are determined by population size.
Okay.
So, we've got the Lake Lehman School District is certain areas in Luzerne County, plus a little bit of Wyoming County.
Uh-huh.
But then, like the Dallas School District is just Dallas Borough and Township.
Right.
So each school district in the Northeast region at least has about the same number of students, even though their geographies may be different.
Okay.
So you've got 7 school districts in the county. They all have the same amount of things. Like, I think Wilkes-Barre has 3 high schools because there's a bigger concentration of people
and they're all
in the city.
All the Wilkes-Barre high schools are terribly overcrowded. All right, that's all I know.
Yep.
Okay, so are we coming up on? Yeah, we're over.
Cindy just chimed in and said her high school graduating class was 863.
Yeah, that's ridiculous. Mine was 108, and my kids go to a school where nursery through 8th grade, the entire school count is 144. So, I mean, that's a private school. It's it's tiny. It's smaller than the large private school that's just down the street from them. And I'm on the safety committee for their reopening. So I'm totally different scenario in terms of safety and confidence. But anyway, one question before we have John shut us out. Not specifically child related, but inclusive of the little ones. What's our understanding of the ongoing sequelae of COVID-19 and about the recovery? How do you define recovery? So there's dozens of papers about the sequelae and morbidity, and Terry is really one of the ones that really is making sure that we pay attention to it on these town halls, because that's the number that is ultimately the true cost of this. It's not the people who die. They don't cost anything when they're dead. It's not the people who recover and because they're young and they had a mild course of disease, which constitutes 80% of the people. It's those that are in their 30s, 40s, and 50s that are part of the productive workforce, but get sick, and our mothers, fathers, and other, professionals that don't feel well, even after they've gotten negative results, swab results. They've gotten home or out of the hospital, and it has been 2 or 3 weeks or 2 or 3 months, and they still can't catch their breath up a flight of stairs. They have bone and joint aches, and they have cardiac issues, neurodegenerative issues, respiratory problems, fibrosis, kidney injury, and their insurance companies are getting a bill every 3 days for tests and this and that. And ultimately, I don't care about the cost to insurance companies. I don't even much care about the cost to all of us in increased premiums. Ultimately, what I do care about is there are friends, neighbors, and family, and they're 10 to 12% of the people who will get this. 10 to 12% of the adults who get this will have that for the rest of their year or 10 years or life. And that's the scars that will be left behind by this pandemic on the United States. As far as what it does to kids, we don't know. We do know this one multi-systemic inflammatory syndrome, and that we do know that 3 kids have died from it. We know that dozens have had it, and this is mostly concentrated in the northeast of the country. We have yet to see reports of children in other parts of the country. I think other than, it was really the early part of the first wave and kids who were infected, and then after infection, they had all of these other horrible inflammatory Kawasaki type symptoms. Then we locked down, we shut down the schools, and all the kids came home. And so we didn't see a massive, wave of that or significant number for us to draw any conclusions or evidence about its true, rate of incidence in children. We will, if we reopen the schools like I see them about to reopen, we will. Yeah. So that answers that. Okay, let's go to the post show and have John shut us out.
Stick around, Kathleen.
So before we do that, I did find this. Just looking off. I found the thing I was talking about with the schools. Share it. See if I can zoom up here. I don't understand it, but it's what it is.
Health officials warn of a possible resurgence of COVID that may coincide with the onset of the traditional flu season. Therefore, Misericordia will begin classes early and have run continuously up to November 24th, no Labor Day or too far away. Okay, so that makes no sense whatsoever. And that has nothing to do with the other. That has nothing to do with the other.
Yeah, God, let's not get the flu involved.
It all comes down to a lack of leadership at the top. So everyone's just searching right now, right?
Yeah,
Well,
I don't think it's innovative thinking. I think it's fearful. I mean, I think it's just not. It's not evidence based. I don't have an opinion on that. I just think it's not reasonable.
Yeah, I think they're saying, how do we know that if they, it's going to be easier to determine if you are one or the other earlier on or whatever, or later on, I guess. But, it's not just one school. It's every single college and university in the area and across the state has made these very strange schedule adjustments. And if you ask me, it's so they don't have to heat their buildings in December. But anyway, that's me thinking as a former administration level thinker. Like, save some money, we won't have to turn on the heat. But whatever.
Good point. Okay, thanks everyone for coming to week 17. We'll see you next week, and we'll continue. Well, we don't have topics yet, but thanks John for producing. Thank you Karen and Terry, and we'll see you all in the post show and next week.